Hi guys, a little bit late in the day to do this, so I've got to use artificial light. Picked this up in Poundland today. Dune Buggy. I call it RaceX Dune Buggy. I'll put a picture of the packaging on there in a minute. Right, took it out of the box, put some batteries in it and ran it straight away. Outside Sainsbury's, or at least on the skate park that's up there. It runs. It seemed to eat the batteries fairly quickly. Once the batteries had run down, the steering starts to play up. I haven't put new batteries in. Yeah, they're sort of still working at the moment. You may notice they're not turning very far. I've noticed that in other toy grade radio controlled cars. Once the batteries run down, they really don't do very well. See, that's hardly turning that way. Quite a bit more the other way. Okay, so that's a negative. There's a clip in the battery compartment there that should hold this piece in place. That was broken as soon as I took it out of the box. I don't think I broke it. I think it was already broken. I think that's enough of the moans. So, ate the battery quickly. Steering starts to fail to respond once the battery runs down a bit, and that bit of plastic was broken. Positives, it did run. And it looks quite nice. So yeah, a couple of positives there. It's got suspension. The back flexes up and down like that. So we do have those springs going up and down at the back. So if you could get it to go over a jump, and it didn't really have enough power to do a jump, then it would have a bit of suspension when it landed. Front end also has springs and is really relying on the plastic itself flexing. Front wheels are fixed, as in it's a push fit axle through the middle there. You can't unscrew it and take it off and change the wheel. The back wheels do appear to have a screw in the middle, so it looks like we can take them off. The wheels themselves are rubber coated plastic, so from this side they look like they've got nice thick tyres on them, but if you look inside you can see that they're actually just rubber coating on a thin plastic rim, which is fine, it works. They're not going to be rock crawler tyres, they're too firm for that, but for what they're designed for, no problem. Body looks nice. Seat and steering wheel and roll cage. What we're going to do is take it apart. So I'm looking, screw there, screw there, screw there, screw there. And there's also a couple of screws through there and one right down through there. I think that'll be the way in. We'll find out. Let's have a go. Yeah, it's going to undo just there. Is that relevant? Probably not. Those ones look like they might be relevant. Let's find a magnet to put the screws on when they come out. Okay, that's released it. Looks like we've got to release the suspension somehow. Will that pop out? Yeah, looks like it will. and compress it a bit and then pop it out. Right, so we've removed it. That's our receiver, a little bit loosely mounted there. Aerial's annoyingly hot glued in place, so we can't just pull that through and release. Oh, we can. Right, that's okay. I'm not going to disassemble all this. That's good enough. I've dropped one of the screws though. There's one of them. There's the other one. Right, so, well, that actually makes it quite easy, doesn't it? Back axle or gearbox and motor is held in place by the looks of it by those two screws. That'll lift off then. Steering. Let's have a look. Let's take this out of the way. It's interesting that that's so loose, isn't it? Because this is only a fiver, £5, that is a handy source if you needed a receiver to replace, if you've got a favourite radio controlled car that you've lost the controller on. You could buy one of these, swap the receiver across, and you'd have a working system. So, yeah, battery pack under here, white wires going down to the on-off switch, and then the red wires coming back to the receiver board where it's marked VCC. And then the black wire from the battery box is coming directly to the receiver to ground. Okay, this one's actually got a white dot in it to indicate 27 megahertz. That was one of my other issues. It is written on the box what frequency it is, but it's written in very small writing in the fine print. So you probably would miss it. I certainly missed it first of all. It took me a while to find it. And the orange car and the blue car were both 27 megahertz. So if you bought a matched pair, you wouldn't be able to race them against each other because they're both using the same controller. Labelled clearly here though, BF for backwards forwards, and the green and white wires are going down to the backwards forwards motor, and the yellow and white left and right, or L and R, go into the steering motor. There's actually an L plus there. I wonder what that is. Whether on another one you might be able to have a LED or something. I don't know, on this side, where on there it says VCC and ground, on this side it does actually say V minus and V plus. And L minus and L plus. I reckon that is for lights. LED, possibly, maybe. Circuit board number HD42238M. On this side it did actually say 2021 0616. Revision 01. Okay, let's have a quick look at the steering. That's a little screw. Dropped inside the wheel. If you can hear Nanny talking in the background, that's because she's on the phone or on her phone, talking to our grandchildren, I think. Right, why isn't that coming straight up? Feels like it's caught under front here. If we undo them, will that release it? Find out. The same size? No, they're different. Take that piece off. So we've got 2 more screws. They look the same size, yeah. Right, now we're going to lift off. Looks like we want to come all together. Yeah, that's all in one. That's handy. All the steering in one module, so you can take it apart. Take it off and stick it on something else of your choice. What's holding it together now? Those screws are holding the bottom of the steering linkage in place, but they're not holding this together. I reckon that's just going to come apart if I pull it gently. Suspension's holding it together again. Yeah, that's what that is. Okay, having released the suspension, now that's going to lift off. Yeah, there we go. And there's our steering. So, fairly small motor, driving intermediate gear, which is then driving this to push the steering side to side. Now if I just lift that one off, you'll be able to see it's that peg in that slot, pushing the steering linkage side to side. Put that back in there so we don't lose it. I'm not going to unscrew that, but we could unscrew that and then we could get the steering all apart. I don't want it all to fall apart on me. No, it is falling apart on me. Come on, you go back in there where you're supposed to be. Right, yeah, so there we are. You can see the inside of those wheels. It's quite neat that that's screwed together so you can take it apart. Motor just fell out, put that back in. So, where's the steering bits? Get it the right way round. So that longer one went over there. No, I have put it the wrong way around. Yes. Line them up. Right, now we're back together. So 2 of those screws actually hold this together. But if you want that steering module to use it on another build, that is very handy. That does come out. one piece. One of those screws is a different size. Why is one of them a different size? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Have I just put an extra long one in somewhere that I didn't need to put an extra long one in? I thought they were all the same size. That is annoying. Yeah, that looks like a slightly longer one. But there's only 2 of them, so I think I'm probably putting it in the right place. Right, so yeah, you've got a steering module there, or unit, that you could put onto another car if you wanted to, quite easily. I like them when they're like that. Okay, that's back in place. How did that fit? Oh, that fitted under there. Just like that. Oh, it just sits in there. How interesting. I think what you could say is it's been designed to spring apart if it's under too much pressure, you know, when it lands. But I thought that was just flexing plastic, whereas it is actually hinged in effect. So yeah, it's got, we'll call it proper suspension. So yeah, that's a nice little touch. So it fits up under there. And the rest of the pivot is there. Oh, and that's the steering adjuster there. Hold it carefully. So we got the dial to adjust the steering. If I turn it, you'll see moving very slightly. So there must be a peg pointing down, that piece there. Sits in the middle of there. So straighten it up when it goes in and we might get it in the right place. That's it. As long as it springs back to place, we got it right. If it's not springing back to place, we haven't got it right, but that's right. Okay. Turn it back a bit. Find the thread, wind it up. Oh, I like that. That's a nice modular design. And I would say unexpected in a car that's only cost me £5. Brand new in the shop. Right, so that's steering end. Now can we have a look at this end? I'm expecting that I'll probably break some wires because it's all hanging loose. but we'll try not to. I just thought I ought to screw that other bit of plastic back on while I remember what those two screws are for. Otherwise we'll get to the end and I'll have two screws left over. I think this screwdriver's getting a little bit worn on the tip, probably ought to replace it. Right, so I've undone those two. I think this is going to pop off. I think it is. Yeah, there we go. That's the bit that's holding the back axle in place. Oh, the orange plastic's holding it in as well. We'd have to undo some more screws to get that off. Do we need to? Can I just tease it out? Yeah, I can tease it out without undoing the extra screws. That would have been those screws going up under there. Right, so got that bit off. Here's our motor and gearbox assembly. Can we get the motor out and have a look at it? Or are the wheels... Oh, we can undo these wheels, can't we? Let's change screwdrivers. Might be handy to check the size of that, compare it to other cars. I think we can leave that on, it's not going to be in the way. Okay, there's our motor. Have we got enough slack on there to pull it out? Or is it actually screwed in through the gearbox? It'd be unusual if it was, but it does look like it's got hot glue on it to protect the wires. There we go. Ease that out. Okay, so there's our motor. Nothing written on it to tell us anything about it. And I can't tell whether it's got proper carbon brushes or just... I think I can see through that gap, and I think they're just ordinary brass brushes. They look too close together to actually have carbon brushes on the end of them. So we'll pop that back in. If we can get it to line up. by pushing it in the right way up. There's nothing to stop us, so it should be okay. It doesn't want to go back in. It's only where the gear has got to line up with the main gear. Well, I'm going to take the gearbox apart anyway, so we'll worry about that from the other side. It's only where I can't get it through there because the teeth are in the way. So I'll take the other wheel off. Okay. Right, it's holding us together. Ooh, it doesn't want to come apart because these are push fit on the end of the axle. Yeah, these plastic hexagonal bits are a tight push fit on the end of the axle, so we can't pull it apart and have a look at the gearbox inside. Oh, that's annoying. Because if I pull them off, it probably won't go back on again. Can I encourage it to come off? One did a bit. Or was it just pulling the other side through? I think that just pulled through from the other side. So we're probably pulling it off the middle gear, off its spline. Yeah, get that back in equally spaced. Yeah, in the middle there'll be a big gear with the shaft will have or the axle will have a spline on it to hold the gear in place. And if I pull it too far one way, it'll pull it off the gear. I'm not going to go any further because this car works. If it didn't work, then I would take those off and we'd be able to see the gearbox inside. But that's as far as I'm going to go. So we've still got to get this fella back in there. And that was being a real pain. Oh, got to No, I'm not understanding why that doesn't want to go back in. Because I wasn't trying to put it in the right way round. Oh, that's all it was. I turned it 90 degrees. Now it's happy. Right, can I remember which way up that was? How can we tell? We can tell because that little cap covers that bit of wire and holds it in place. Right, I don't think you need to watch me screw all the screws back together because we've already gone over half an hour. I'll screw them all back together, put it all back together, and we'll just check it still runs when I've finished. Right, all back together, all screws accounted for. And push that right the way across. Yeah, that's okay. So springs back in place, suspension all back together. So yeah, it works. Would it be worth converting it to hobby grade? Wouldn't be terribly difficult. You just have to get a servo in the front there to push the steering side to side. It looks to me like I might have missed getting that back in place. Why is that different? Can't see any different on that side. Well, looks like I might have to take it apart again to sort out that bit of steering. I've missed something there. Somehow. Yeah, should have gone under there. This one I've popped it back in place. I've got that one right, that side. As you can see, it's fixed. And that side's flopping up and down. Okay, well, you don't need to watch me do that either. I made a mistake. Yeah, that should be up under there. Okay, we'll sort that out, but it works. I was just saying, was it worth doing it, making it hobby grade? I mean, it is a nice little car. It's a nice looker. So you get better range and it would last longer with, you could put a couple of 14500 batteries in there, lithium-ion 14500s. That would give you 7 volts. If I put them in there now, I'd probably kill the receiver that's in there. Yeah, I like it. Right, sorted the steering out. So it's now in place on both sides. Yeah, not sure how it had popped out. Must have just missed it when I was screwing it back together. Okay, well, that's it, really. We've taken it apart, we've had a look at it. I do like the features. I like the way it's easy to get to the receiver, just lift the top end off, and the fact the suspension just unclips. The plastic clip that broke there, I suppose I could show you that. Waste a bit more time. What I was going to say, the plastic clip that broke there just tells me that it's that sort of plastic that breaks rather than bends. It's a bit brittle. And I use the really cheap Poundland batteries, which don't last very long, so I was saying it would run out of power after a matter of minutes. If you had decent batteries in there, I expect it would last a bit longer. I say, temptation is to put two 14500 lithium ion batteries in there, but that would go from 6 volts, which is 4 1.5s, to 7.5 volts or 8.2 volts freshly charged, which is quite a jump. So it'd probably burn out the receiver. On the other hand, as I say, handy way of getting hold of a transmitter and receiver if you want to revive another favourite radio controlled car that you've lost the controller for. You just swap them out of here. That'll do. Enough waffle. Thanks for watching. If you want more information, check down below in the video description. If you like this video, you might like this one up here. And if you want to subscribe, you can check out my channel over here. Up here is my latest video on my channel, and down here is a video playlist associated with the video you've just watched. Thanks again for watching.